Hello and welcome back to a Christmas special of Sydney Direct. I'm Natalie MacDonald. My guest on today's show is Ben Brun of OptionsXpress. We're going to be talking about a currency which has certainly seen its fair share of headlines throughout 2014. That's right, we're talking Aussie dollar. Ben, thank you very much for joining us for this Christmas special of Sydney Direct. Thank you.
Oh, isn't it a great time of year? Pleasure to be with you, Natalie.
Okay, so firstly, how would you characterise Aussie dollar performance over 2014? Sum it up in 3 words for me if you can.
Okay, that's tough. Could have been worse. That's one.
We'll go with it.
Okay, good.
What do you think was key really in drawing that Aussie dollar down? Did the RBA succeed in their sort of verbal pressuring, or is it more macro drivers?
I would definitely think macro drivers, because the RBA, for as long as I can remember, have tried to jawbone the currency down, and it's been to absolutely no avail. It might have, Philip Lowe, these kind of guys that give speeches here, there and everywhere, always trying to jawbone it down. And it certainly, my mind is cast back to when it was over 100 US cents, and they were doing that almost on a daily basis, and it was having no effect. Now that it's a little bit lower and sort of, the tide's turning against the Aussie dollar, sure, it might have a little bit of an effect, but I certainly am a big believer that the macro drivers, in particular, obviously, given that it takes two to tango, the US dollar strength has fed through into a weaker Aussie dollar story in 2014.
Moving ahead then to 2015, how key is the US going to be moving forwards?
That's going to be pretty much everything. Look, we had the release of the GDP numbers here in Australia. Economists are now predicting 2 rate cuts, where at the same time in the US economy, it's a guessing game, but the next move for the Fed is definitely up. Now, there are so many moving parts to this story. Inflation is a big factor. Employment is another factor. But basically, if our rates are expected to go down and the US is expected to go up, then that is going to have a downwards impact on our currency and an upwards impact on the US dollar. So therefore, it's almost like it's going to move at twice the speed. 2015, I would be willing to place a position that we're going to be seeing a lower currency than where we're currently seeing it.
Speaking of sort of those lower currency expectations, we've had forecasts come through as low as 70 cents really on the Aussie dollar. Where are you pitching the Australian dollar for the year? 70
cents is a big call. We've lost, off the top of my head, 8%, say, using round figures this year. That would be a dramatic fall, much larger than 8%. I'm not going to be surprised if it starts with a 7 handle. 70 might be just a whisker too low. I mean, there's so much water that needs to pass under the bridge. The US might do nothing at the end of the day next year, and so might the RBA. So, we can have this conversation in a couple of months and everything changes. So it's going to be very data dependent. All things being equal, I would say, it's not going to surprise me to see it start with a 7 handle and probably high 70s somewhere.
Ben, thank you very much for taking the time to chat with us. Thank you.
Pleasure, Natalie.
Unfortunately, that is all we've got time for right now. However, do stay tuned. I'll be seeing you into 2015 with plenty more interviews from market insiders right here from Sydney, Australia. For now, though, it's goodbye.